So you don't, but let me read some more stuff to you. So as a result, many folks have turned to freelancing or selling services by the hour or by the day. I saw one story where a young woman was selling pictures, naked pictures of herself on the internet. Don't go looking for her, okay? So let me ask you this. So I've been a freelancer for 10 years. I have had to adjust my standard of living significantly. When I lost my full-time job in 2011, and it's almost as if the rug was pulled out from under my feet. I didn't lack qualifications in the field I was in. Once I was out of a job, I could not re-enter the marketplace. I couldn't find anything, couldn't re-enter the marketplace. It was like boom, over. I turned to freelancing. So I began consulting. I'm one of those persons who believe in multiple streams of income. So while I worked full-time, I had my consulting gig on the side. So when the full-time job went, I needed the full-time job so I could qualify for loans, right? And you needed to live somewhere. So to prove to a prospective landlord that you can pay the rent, you have to have a pay stub. Well, I needed somewhere to live, and I had to produce my bank statement in order to find somewhere to live. I kid you not. I had a car, and I couldn't make the payments on the car, so the car was repossessed. And the funny thing about it is the car was repossessed like I had 2 more payments to make to own the vehicle. And they repossessed it because I was late on the payments, because the payments were high. Remember when I took the car out, the interest rate was very high, but I was working, I had a gig. So I was making it work in the midst of everything else. You see what I'm saying? And then in order to make it work, I worked it. Then I lost the full-time job. So now it was a gig. This was in 2011 before you even heard of the gig economy. I don't even think Uber was a thing yet, right? Uber, there might have been a thought in someone's mind. So I was doing, my gig became my permanent situation. Then Obamacare was implemented in 2013, and that changed my life irrevocably. So then I couldn't work the gig anymore. That gig ended. I had a third gig. My third gig was you. I had started my speaking and touring speaking and written my books, and I was on radio, and I was on Blog Talk Radio, right? So I was podcasting. So that became my third gig. That became another stream of income when my consulting business dried up. Suddenly, with Obamacare, there was nothing left available. I kid you not. This is my story. So I had to contract. So my standard of living started to contract like this, like this, like this. Eventually, like everybody else, I had to move in with my mother because I couldn't pay my rent anymore. I had lost my car. So one year I got my tax returns and I went and bought a car without a car note. I'm giving you ideas so that you know. So the car note thing wasn't going to work because I couldn't prove that I had the income to pay it. So I had to go buy a car without a note. I had to ask people whom I normally would not have interacted with and ask them, how do you buy a car without a note? I didn't even think such a thing were possible. I didn't know that it could be done. And then I went to a car dealer whom my stepbrother introduced me to. And I learned some interesting things. I learned, for instance, that the markup on a car is more than 100%. So the manufacturer sells the car to a body, and all the dealers go to this entity and buy the cars from there. The manufacturers give the cars to the dealers at a rate at which the dealers are going to make money. So I discovered, for instance, that a Suburban was sold to the dealer for $31,000. Have you tried to buy a Suburban? It's $90,000. So the dealer sells you back and make a boatload of money. That was not just the Suburban. That was every other car. I went to an auction and I saw cars coming in at some prices. I said, for years, I've been taken for a ride. Since then, I haven't bought a car on a note. I get a tax return, I take my taxes, and I go buy a car. At the same time, my mother told me to go buy a house with my tax return. I didn't believe her. I told her, no, I'm not going to live in Detroit. The school district is bad, blah, blah, blah. She said, a house is a house is a house. I said, but the crime, the this, the that. She said, at the end of the day, do you want a roof over your head? Or what do you want? You want to live somewhere where you can't pay the rent or what? And I'm talking to people who right now, you have to be hiding from your landlord because you can't make the rent payment. And you come up with it based on your gig, and it's frustrating. You're driving you crazy. And I'm saying to you, think again, rethink your position, because most of us are living according to an expectation that we think others have of us. And we live for friends and people who are around us. And so we find that we want to live in certain zip codes, but we really can't afford to live there after we lost our full-time job. So you have to start rethinking. You have to start thinking like a millionaire. Millionaires think different. Millionaires don't think, having a millionaire mindset is not what people think it is, right? So you think that having a millionaire mindset means you go buy a house for $1 million. A true millionaire does not think like that. You think of buying a house that you can live in, and then you keep the money in the bank. So that's what you need to figure out. You need to say, here is what I can really afford. So you have to be true to yourself. I had to come to the place where I said, I have to be true to me. What can I afford? This is what I can afford to live. So I had to adjust my lifestyle. So I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody I lived in Detroit because I felt ashamed. I'm like, oh my God, people must think I'm poor. People must think that something is wrong with me. And then after a while, my paradigm changed. I'm like, I don't care if that's what you're going to think of me, then I don't need you in my circle. Do you see what I'm saying? And then I found out that it bothered me more than it's that bothered most of the people around me. So it was me who needed to change in the first place. So I bought a car I could afford. I had to take it to the mechanic. But guess what? I don't have a note. When everybody else is struggling to pay this much in car note, one year I sat down with someone I know and I said to her, I want you to add up how much for the year you spend on rent. Her rent was $1,100 a month. I kid you not. I said, multiply that by 12. She was like, oh my God. And I'm like, and you're an accountant, you do your budget every month. She said, yeah. I said, then why are you always running out of money? When she added up how much she paid on rent to live in a zip code that she felt she could be proud of, because you're buying a lifestyle. That's what you're doing. You're buying into someone else's idea and you're buying a lifestyle. You're paying for something. So you're actually letting your ego write checks that you have you can't cash ever. Your body cannot cash. When she added up how much she paid for a car note, multiplied by 12, she was like, oh my God. And then she said this, I can't save any money. I said, well, look at how much you're paying for rent and your car note. That's why you can't save. Made her think. Did she do anything about it? Nope. She went and rented a bigger place because the urge to prove that I said, the people you're comparing yourself to are white. And she's like, so, and I said, so what they do, what you don't know is they get a lower interest rate on their mortgage and they get a lower interest rate on their car note. So you'd be surprised that what their mortgage is $650, your rent is $1,200. Your car note is $350, theirs is $199. That's a big difference. They get a lower interest rate on their credit card. So what they are paying per month to pay back the debt, they can just go to Kroger, get a credit card, and buy groceries. You would be surprised how many people are living on credit. Did you know that? How many of you are living on credit? Think about it. You use your credit card to buy groceries, to buy gas, your everyday expenses. You use your credit card to buy your Starbucks coffee in the mornings. Think about it. And then because you don't see it, you don't think about it. So it's like it's in the great big ether out there somewhere. And what happens is at the end of the day, that credit card comes calling. So you go apply for another one. Before you know it, you have 20 credit cards that are almost maxed out. The smart thing to do is if you're going to live off credit cards, then your paycheck ought to be saved. The thing to do is to save at least one of your paycheck. The way I look at it is if you're working and you're getting 2 paychecks per month, then one paycheck should pay all your expenses, your rent, your mortgage, your car note, your car insurance, your credit card, your cell phone bill, and the other paycheck gets saved. Now that would be cool, wouldn't it? You're all nodding like that would be super cool. But does that really happen? No, because it's costing us so much more to live today. Let me ask you this. When you go to the mall today, have you noticed that most of the big box stores are going out of business? Malls are becoming a thing of the past. You know why? Because they refuse to adjust to the changing climate. The changing climate is that you and I don't have to go to the mall. We have Amazon, we're on Twitter and Instagram, and everything you want to buy is a click away. So click, you pay for it, click, it comes delivered to you, right? So why do I need to go to the mall and stand in line and wait for someone to come and help me find what I'm looking for? The other thing is what? Competition. Competition is working. You can get it online cheaper than what Forever 21 has in the stores. I kid you not, years ago, Forever 21 was a go-to store. Anybody remember Forever 21? They filed for bankruptcy. Anybody remember Charlotte Russe? Oh my, most of my costume jewelry came from Charlotte Russe. 2 for $5, then it was 2 for $8, then it was 2 for $10. Then they got a revelation when the internet came in. They increased their prices, but I could get the same thing on the internet for less. The only thing is I had to trust that the size is true to size, but then I could return it and the price was affordable anyway. Why go into the store? The point I'm making is we have to adjust. So I adjusted. When I had to shelve that standard of living where I ate out 3 times a week and every weekend we ate out and I got my nails done every week and I, got my car regularly serviced, I had to change my paradigm of how I lived. I'm breathing, I'm living, I can go to the doctor, I had to change it. I look fleeky all the time. My hair was always, done. Yeah, because I could afford to go see the stylist. I had to adjust. So I found that I spent more time investing in the digital part of my life because it would reap benefit. It gave me name recognition. And you, for instance, will tune into my broadcast. So I'm encouraging you, don't wait for the axe to drop, even if you're white. And you think, well, I work there, they're probably not going to fire me, I'm going to have this job. I see too many young white people who are still struggling to make it. And in today's world, it's not uncommon to go to work and they pay you less and they don't give you any benefits, right? And they keep your hours under 40 so that they, by law, over 35 hours after 3 months, they have to pay you benefits. So they know you don't know that, so they keep you. And as soon as the 3 months happen, they kick you out. How many people have relocated to another place because you got a job that was going to pay you more? And then after a year there, they fire you. How many people has that happened to? I've heard that story over and over again. Is it worth relocating? You need to have a side hustle. So for those of you who have not developed your side gig, let us know what your creativity entails. I had to adjust. And I am so glad for Netflix. Man, it's way cheaper. I had to adjust. I went and got a shelter, set up the shelter and all that kind of stuff and started making sure that I could provide services. I had to rethink the way I did it because of institutionalized racism. I could not get the grants that I applied for because the system was administered by white men and white women who were not going to give this young woman of color the power that money would bring for me to continue to bring relief to victims of human trafficking. I couldn't begin to tell you how many I applied for grants from the state. They gave it to all their friends who were white and institutions run by white people. And somebody had to sit me down earlier this year and say, Harriet, stop beating up on yourself. You're not doing anything wrong. He said, there's nothing wrong with your program. It's nothing wrong with your wording. It's nothing. All that it is that the people who are making the decision about giving you the money are white women. And they're not going to give you the money because of that. Who is this? Hey, hello. You just got here, right? Can you believe it? So I am saying to you, you don't stop anyhow. Keep on doing it, right? Keep on doing it. There are other ways to make money. Go and find them. Do more and more research. Ask Google. Google knows everything, right? Do you need a phone number for your business that you don't want? Because you say, I don't want to give out my cell phone number. Then I found a system that would answer the phone for me. Cost me $39.99 a month. Then I found another way to do it was just to get a Google phone number. I kid you not. I'm just saying, right? Then I didn't want people to know where the shelter is located, so I couldn't put that address out. I had to go be creative and get a box. Had to file my taxes just the same, right? And keep myself as a corporate person. My friends, right? The system is there, okay? And if you're white, go for it. And if you're black, go for it. And if you're Asian, go for it. If you're Hispanic, go for it. We have to tear down these strongholds and tear down these walls that is creating inequality. The time for economic inequality is long past. It's over. It's gone. But our children and grandchildren and I are still suffering from the remnants of it. I can't begin to tell. The other day, I went somewhere to speak, and someone said, "My God, you're so knowledgeable and so informative." And I said, "Yeah, I know what's the next question." I said, "I'm not white. That's why you haven't seen me on CNN or CBS." Think about that. So many times you look at them and you're like, where these people come from? Who do they know that I don't know? Do you see what I'm saying? And this, I was telling you about this young woman who is black on Twitter who was saying, "Oh, she's so blessed." And they asked her, "How did you get the job?" And she said, "Networking." And people were like, "Girl, I network. I go through my fraternity. I do all of that. I go through my sorority. I go through all my alumni of high school and so on." She got in because the luck of the draw? No, she got in because somebody made a decision to put her in so that she would be the exact way that the system says, "No, we don't do that." And she might be aware of it, but she can't explain it because the rest of us know that that's what it is. It's crazy. And it has to stop. This is just total baloney and craziness. And I've even heard people of color say, "Well, that didn't happen to me until," and I'm like, this is me. Until it happens to you, you won't know, because I was that person. Because like I said, I had a full-time job and I had my side hustle. I was making it. I was making $70,000 a year. I was good. I didn't know that there would come a time when I'd have to live on $15,000 a year. How do you go from there to that? So I had to reorganize my own thinking and determine what is good. Do you want shelter from the rain? Do you want shelter and heat from the snow? Or do you want to go show off and be pimping on everybody else? So when I met people, I said, "This is me. This is who I am. If you're not going to like it, then keep it moving, because I don't want people who are unreal around me." So if living in a particular zip code is what you use to determine whom you should associate, I said, "Forget me. I'm not the one." I kid you not. I said, "This is where I am. This is what I have." When I met my ex-boyfriend, I said, "If money is your thing, I don't have any money. So if you want to be with people who have money, then I'm not the one for you." I told him straight up. He laughed. He was like, "Whoa." And I'm like, "Mm-hmm." So I don't want it to come back and blow back in my face that, "Well, she does it." I said, "If you want someone rich, I'm not it." So because and I told him why. I said I had to change my paradigm based on what, and he could not. He, at the time, he didn't say anything, but after a while, he told me the same thing had happened to him. So he went back and developed his family business, so he can never be unemployed again. Because when it hit him, what he did, because until he met me, he didn't realize I put into words what his experience was. Somebody is writing some comments. All people are great regardless of color. Yeah, I like when you guys say that, but you know what I want? Am I trans? No. I wouldn't want to hire anyone with the attitude that I'm trying to keep them down. You can't just show up to work and expect a promotion. Listen to this. Sounds like institutionalized racism. They were looking at the quality of work, not quantity. A degree alone doesn't make you a better employee. Institutionalized racism. I've changed my picture, but this is so true. White, straight men. are the first to go. That's not true. A woman, that could be true in some cases. A woman of any color with the same qualifications will be hired before a straight white man. We need to talk about that. Do I like AOC? I don't know that I like her. I don't think she says everything that is right. Some of the things are too way out for me. I set up a nonprofit to make money. I set up a nonprofit to serve people. Making money is a side issue. There were people, I began to ask myself, if this is happening to me, it's happening to other people who can't help themselves. So I try to help other people. I'm 28 with a family, me, my woman, and my son. I can't find a job. I'm trying so hard to stay up. I am going to pray for you. I identify as a green man. I'm a minority. Are you making fun? Right? The only way to take this country back is the same way it was token. Oh, man. I'm feeling this. People are scared. What are you going to take back? Yes, take it back. Why not? The system isn't designed for Black people. You owned it to take it back. Social revolution is going to work. Us greenies are kept down. I've never seen a green person. No jobs at all with a debt from school. Not many facts. Lots of minority judges. Should there be more minorities than majority? Are you listening to these things? With Black people being a minority, does it make any sense at all to think there should be as many Blacks hired as the majority? If you owned a company, what color would the majority of your employees be? I don't know that I'm hiring people based on color. I'm hiring people based on their qualifications and fit for the job. Black people shouldn't have never accepted a minority state. If you owned a company, the majority of the employees would be Black. That's discriminatory too. I don't know about that. I hire people based on their qualifications. You want to know? Because I did it. I hired a grant writer who was white because they told me she was the best. Okay? So tell me again, right? All right. What needs to change is your attitude, okay? Interest is based on credit score. Here we go again. Institutionalized racism. You're a freelancer because your attitude makes you unemployable. There you go. Live within your means. Wow. Wow. Do you see this? Do you see this? Wow. Okay. So this is what we're talking about, right? This is what we're talking about. I love the comments. Raven, are you here? You heard these comments, right? You heard these comments, all of which, unknown to you, point towards institutionalized racism. That's what it all points to. People talking about your interest rate is based on your credit score. Let me tell you how I know that not to be true. When I lived in Orlando, I lived in a subdivision, was middle class, and we were the only Black family. Next, also, my neighbors were all white, right? Okay. As we began to talk, I found something out. I was like, dang, we were paying $850 per month for the mortgage. So I said, wait a minute, we're paying $850 per month for the mortgage, and we have equity in the house, and the mortgage we only owed like $123,000. I'm like, that means we're gonna pay it off real quick. So we started talking to the neighbor who's white. They had 3 children. I think they had 3 children at the time. She didn't work, just like I didn't work, and he worked. Her husband worked. My husband worked. So we started talking. You know what I found out? The interest rate on their mortgage, our credit score was higher than theirs. To your point, our credit score, did you hear me? Our credit score was higher than theirs. Their interest rate was lower than ours. Their mortgage was what? Say it, lower than ours. We were paying $850. They were paying $550. A $300 difference. I said, so what's your credit score? They told us. I'm like, excuse me, mine is higher than that. We called the mortgage company. I accused them of discrimination. I told them flat out. They redacted that so fast you would not believe. And what we had been doing in order to pay the mortgage off, we started making 2 payments per month, right? So we were made because we wanted to pay it off really quickly. So what my ex-husband said, well, he said in the middle of the month, send in the interest payment. and then make the principal payment. And when we did that, it cut it down. You know, they redacted the payment. So to your point, okay, that's not enough. We went to, he wanted a Toyota 4Runner. I had a Toyota Camry. We went down to the Toyota dealership. And they wanted to give the 4Runner that he wanted. I didn't like the payments. The payments were going to be $369. I'm like, I'm not paying no $369 for no car. What is the interest rate? I'm like, we're not doing that. Not doing that. Sent the neighbor down there to get it. He was going to walk away with a payment less than $250 because the interest rate. So I called the finance company. And I'm like, you fools. I sent my neighbor down there to go find out. And you are discriminating. I kid you not. So when you tell me that interest is based on credit score, everybody, you need to go ask your neighbor how much they're paying for mortgage. You live in a subdivision. If your neighbor is a colored person, go ask them how much they're paying for mortgage and do the comparison. And I'm just going to step aside. And if you are making a car note, okay, so you may be living in an apartment. Okay. So ask your neighbor how much you're paying on the car note. You are going to be shocked because the way the system is designed and the way the economic oppression is so institutionalized, even you as a white person can't even see it. You can't even see it. You just know that all your life, your family, because you're going to go ask your family who are white and they're going to say, that's foolishness. That's black people. Listen to the stereotypes. Black people are lazy. I bet they have an attitude. You just accused me of having an attitude. You want to come and talk to me about attitude? Let me show you attitude. Oh, you are unemployable because of your attitude. Are you seriously kidding me right now? You just expressed your racism. You're lucky you're hiding behind a hologram there. Why don't you show your true name and so on so I can have people on Twitter call you out for your racism? Unbelievable. Go and ask your white family members right now. Go and ask them. And they're going to say, no, that doesn't happen. You probably do have some black friends. You probably do have some black neighbors. And black people who are wealthy are going to tell you they don't buy into this, but when the doors are closed and you're not in the room, they talk about it. They may not want to talk about it with you because they want your favor. So they're going to pretend like it doesn't happen. Some of them do, some don't. Some call it out, right? Right? So let me see. Live within your means. Absolutely. Live within your means. Somebody who does a detailing thing here. Hey, you detail cars, right? Listen to this. This is coming from Boogerhead. You must have a Boogerhead. At Boogerhead. You're a freelancer because your attitude makes you unemployable. I want to see where you live, how much education. The way you write tells me you have no education in the first place. So I want to see. You are skating by based on a system of economic oppression. And the system of economic oppression has empowered you to think that you actually are surviving because you are better. No, you're not. No, you're not. Let me help you out. Okay? That's what the system of economic oppression, just so you are aware, has changed. Because you guys implemented a system that said everybody else should go get degrees, and everyone went and got degrees. And now it's displacing your people because you don't have the same qualifications. So you really still want to talk to me? Even people who look like you know that this is a fact. So go get yourself socialized in different environments and go read some more on Dr. Google. Okay? All right. Just so you know.